Good morning. We're making another video. This one is going to be about the artisan, being an artisan, and creating art with your Linux and WordPress and Krita and Photoshop. I've been using Photoshop. I've noticed that I tend to use the Adobe tools with photographs, and I like the Linux. I don't know, they're not really Linux. The free and open source tools, Krita and Inkscape for drawing and making images. They're nice and easy, but the Adobe tools seem to do photographs. They're just easier to use, and I've been using both Lightroom and Photoshop. Each one does certain things easy better. Usually what you do is open it up in Lightroom and change the perspective, to get your trees and your buildings to stand up straight instead of pointing towards the center of the picture, and then click on edit in Photoshop, and it kind of automatically sends it over to Photoshop, and you can do the whatever you do in there. And that auto button, find those auto buttons, because you just click one button and it makes your pictures a lot better. And so I use that a lot, and I'll kind of remember where the buttons are, and describe that later in another video. Um, the writing, I use both. When I wrote my book, I started using Scribus, the free and open source book publishing software, and I kind of at the end I had problems getting it published, so I installed Adobe Acrobat, and that helped. Well, actually, it didn't help because it wouldn't use my Scribus document. So I I ended up installing Adobe Creative Cloud. And so I kind of use both of them. I think the Adobe InDesign works a little bit better. It's a little better than Scribus, but Scribus works fine. I mean, it worked fine. And the reason it didn't work is because when you install Scribus, you have to install a program called GhostScript before you install Scribus, because that way it auto detects it and it knows where it is. And I didn't do that. I installed Scribus first and then GhostScript. And how I fixed that is I opened the Scribus document as a GhostScript document. And now Scribus knows where GhostScript is, and it works. And so, I don't know, I've only done one book, so I'm assuming I kind of got the feeling that Scribus knows where GhostScript is now, but I haven't really tried it because I've only written that one book. But it's and your photo, you got your writing and your photographs and your digital artists, your tools, your Inkscape and Krita, and you got to figure out the measurements of your computer and your websites, figure out how long they are. I'm kind of wanting to get to, it's hard to do because I'm so used to thinking in inches, but I would wish I could get to using millimeters instead of inches, just because it's so ridiculous that we don't use millimeters. I mean, it's just scientific. It's based on 10 instead of the size of some king's foot. It's ridiculous. So I wish the United States would switch over to metric. That's just ridiculous that we don't do that already. And your Adobe tools are good. Use those. Use whatever you can. The main thing, the example I like to use to tell is the art, the gold jewelry that the ancient people used to make. When we dig around and find things in, ancient places and we find their gold and their jewelry and stuff like that, and it's got these really beautiful, intricate designs on it, and how did the people make that stuff? You wonder. And so what I'm trying to learn how to do and to teach people to do is do the same thing, only with websites, computers and websites. Not just making websites, you can make applications that run on your computer, directly on, they call them native applications. They run on the computer rather than in a browser, a web browser. And so you can do both, and you can make applications for phones. Smartphone applications is a whole nother little genre of artisanship. Digital artisans, and that's what I'm working on. I got right now I'm using my phone. I mean, I kind of want to get a regular camera and get it hooked up to my computer. My computer doesn't even have speakers, so I got to use headphones, and I use my phone, and but it's you can use your. Then I'll be able to make screenshots, is what I was trying to think of. Make screenshots of what I'm doing. Like you watch these videos and they got a picture of this screen on the computer and they're describing what they're doing. And eventually I'll get to that. But for now, I'm just talking about, telling stories about stuff on my phone and uploading them onto the website. I upload them on. I've got about 5 or 6 different social media platforms I'm putting videos on, but the main one is Google and YouTube. I just put, because it's pretty easy. Put it on YouTube, and it's pretty easy to get the little link and put it on Facebook or Rumble or Gab or wherever I want to put it. And try to get get everybody's attention, let them know I'm here. I am here, I'm working, and my style is kind of, I don't know, amateur maybe, but it's, I've had a pretty rough life, and so I'm not like one of these super refined guys wearing a suit and tie. I'm wearing my Wyoming woolen sweater around my apartment, that's and telling stories. I like to tell stories. What I have to offer, my product is knowledge, and because I've read a lot and I've studied a lot on, really a lot, and so I want to teach people and help people. There's, everybody. I read the World Economic Forum, a couple of years ago, and they were talking about how the greatest risk factor in the world economy is income inequality, both within nations and between nations. And I always believe the best way to fix that is to, it seems like the world economic, their way is to get, America to look more like a third world country, which I think is a terrible idea. But my solution is to teach poor people how to make money and teach them economics. And I can't believe, it's amazing that our schools don't teach that. That's like the most important thing schools should be teaching, other than spirituality and more, and civil stuff, and teaching people how to be citizens and honorable citizens. But be an artist, create, write stories, read poetry. Is a good way to learn how to write is to read poetry. Read other authors, read a lot of stories about whatever it is you're interested in, and then use those as models and write your own version of whatever it is you're interested in. And then, but write, use Scribus. I would say start out with Scribus. Maybe later, if you want, you can get the Adobe's tools. I'm kind of battling within myself about using, because I'm a big fan of Linux and free and open source software, and I used all those tools for years. and I've been using them. And then right when I was about ready to publish the book, at the very last minute, I got frustrated with something that it was really my fault. It wasn't Linux's fault. It was just that I did something out of order. And so I real quick, to try to get that book published, I installed Creative Cloud. Now I got it installed, and I kind of signed a contract to use it for at least a year. So I'm going to use it. And because I'm not against proprietary software. I'm not like this Linux guy that, Linux is the only thing you can use. If you do anything else, you're doing something wrong. I don't agree with that. I think that you should study them both, study, all the different options, because there's a lot of different options, and study them all and pick the one that you like. And I really believe in free and open source, and by free, I mean freedom. You're free to use whatever works best for you. And a lot of people like the Windows and the Apple's really popular with programmers and stuff like that. I've never really used Apple. I mean, I've used it a couple of times in like internet cafes, but I don't know why I've always, one time I installed Apple on my, the music playing software they had years and years ago. And when I tried to get rid of it, because I wasn't using it, so I tried to get it off my computer, every time I uninstalled that program, the whole audio system on my computer was gone. And so I've never touched a piece of Apple software since then, because I don't want it taking over my computer. Linux does the same thing. Adobe did the same thing. Once I installed Adobe, it kind of took over my computer, and it was like, oh man, dang it. Oh well. Like I said, I'll learn, whatever works best. The main thing for me is the content, creating valuable, beautiful content. It's got to be valuable for your audience. It's what you got to be realistic, and you got to create really beautiful, valuable content that people are willing to spend their time watching, reading, whatever it is, and they'll be willing to spend money on your stuff. Buy your books, buy your pictures. You could create art. The art for like screen backgrounds and stuff like that in Linux is not nearly as good as it was years ago. Years ago, you could get some really beautiful art pictures for your desktop screen and stuff like that. And the pictures they have now are just not like that. They're just kind of like this cheap art, and that's, so that's something you can work on. We need more really cool art for backgrounds for your phones and your computers, and keep working on creating art, websites. The whole design of your website is an art. Make it as really cool and beautiful as you can, and functional and valuable. And so you've got to create a lot of articles. Like I got one book now, I need like 3 or 4 books on there, so I need to start writing books. I'm kind of in this video making phase right now, where I'm making all these videos and adding them onto the website, which is, I think, a huge improvement. And then I'll go back and rewrite these stories and try to get them to, one of the things I like about content management systems is you can move the stories around a lot, but once you start getting them all linked together, you can't really, it's a little bit harder to move them. So I'll just have to use the arrangement I have and build on that. And so anyway, I'm coming to the end of this video, and it's make your website, make several websites, and make them beautiful and very functional, and very smart, intelligent, and valuable. And have fun, man. It's fun. It's art. It's painting. It's writing. And have a great day. Thank you.